Today I have for you another student success story. Today you're going to hear a conversation between myself and Tony Lee, and it was a great conversation. Hopefully it can inspire you on your piano journey. Tony had never really played piano before. He had a little bit of experience with guitar and some bass, but what happened is he went hiking one day with his wife. He had a little bit of an accident and he wasn't able to walk for a little while. And what's really cool is that instead of just doing something like binging Netflix, which I think a lot of people would do in that position, he decided, okay, now is the time for me to learn how to play piano. Finally, it's something he'd wanted to do for a while. So that's when he signed up for Piano in 21 Days a couple of years ago. And not only has he learned piano, but he's since just taken a deep dive into it, and he's helping others with piano as well. He's started a website and a YouTube channel called Piano Tone and pianotone.ca, where he does reviews on online piano courses and on various keyboards, and he does some backing tracks and all kinds of cool piano stuff. So I definitely invite you to check that out. We'll link to it below. But real quick, I'm Jacques Hopkins. This is Piano in 21 Days, where we help regular people learn to play their favorite songs on the piano in as little time as possible. So if that sounds good to you, consider giving this video a like and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. All right, so Tony Lee, he's the man. He has learned piano and done all kinds of cool stuff with the piano in the past couple of years. Since signing up for the program, he's taken other online courses. Like I said, he's helping other people. He started kind of a side hustle, a side business that I invite you to check out. So without further ado, here's the full conversation between myself and Tony Lee. All right, hey Tony Lee, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, of course. We've gotten to know each other a little bit over the past couple of years. You signed up for Piano in 21 Days. It seems like a while ago now. Let's start by just, what were the steps? What are the things that led up to you wanting to sign up for an online piano course, and then specifically Piano in 21 Days?
Well, when I was young, I played bass and rock in some rock bands in university. Played guitar as well, and was quite into music, and had tons of fun doing that. And then once university was over, kind of life rolls on, and kind of fell out of music, which I've always kind of regretted. And in the fall of 2019, my wife and I are big time into long distance hiking trips. We walked the Camino de Santiago in 2018, which is 800 kilometers in 32 days. And we're on a hiking trip in Scotland in the fall of 2019, and I broke my ankle partway through the trip. And I wasn't sure if it was broken or sprained, so did manage to walk the last 100 kilometers on it with lots of Advil and maybe some Guinness here and there. And when I got home, found out it was broken, and was going to be laid up for a bit with a boot on and everything. So it was either start streaming Netflix nonstop or get back into music. So I decided to get back into music, and I thought instead of picking up the bass, I'd try something I'd always wanted to do, which was keyboard. So I went and bought a cheap Casio keyboard, and downloaded an app and started messing around with YouTube videos, and started to develop some interest in it. But the app was mostly on intro sight reading, which I was kind of expecting. And as I started to look around online for other options and courses and things, I came across Piano in 21 Days. And when I did and started to do the free intro lessons that were available, started to realize that, wow, you can learn how to play piano with a chord-based approach. And I don't know why that never occurred to me, but that was something that was very familiar to me from the band days. So I immediately dove in with both feet, and the rest is now history. Like, I mean, when you back in our band days, you show up to band practice and somebody wants to play a new cover song, or they've written a song. They don't hand you sheet music. They say, here's the chords. This is how it goes, and then you start playing. So it was something that was very familiar to me, and just never occurred to me that, yeah, you can learn piano this way too. So
Tony, if you wouldn't have broken your was it your ankle back in 2019, would you think you wouldn't know how to play piano today?
Probably not.
I gotta ask, what happened? How did you break your ankle?
Well, it was a very difficult day hiking in Scotland. It was through like a very kind of challenging, at least for us, level of hike through the woods, and they'd had torrential rain, record-setting rain and flooding. and there's a lot of challenging parts in the hike, and made it through all the challenging parts. Then I'm just kind of relaxing, walking along, and just stepped on a rock and slid sideways off of it and snapped.
Goodness. Well, I'm glad
Yeah,
you're okay now, man. I'm glad, some good came out of it,
yeah.
obviously. So at the point where you started to look for piano instruction, where were you with your just music overall? You mentioned having a bass and guitar background. Were you pretty competent in 2019, or had you kind of forgotten a lot of it?
I probably reasonably competent. Still would pick up the bass and the guitar once in a while, and play, but definitely not as competent as I was, back in the day.
The guitar especially, most people understand that what a chord is, and strumming guitar chords and whatnot. But you had no concept that you could take that same approach to the piano, and that's
Yeah.
most people are like that. Why do you think that we don't think of the piano that way, but we do with something like the guitar?
I'm not sure. I guess back when I first started learning guitar and bass, there was no internet, there was no apps or anything. So if you wanted to learn keyboard or piano, you went and got piano lessons, and you learned how to sight read, and those were the steps. And I had always found the piano to be a kind of an intimidating instrument. I'm not really sure why, but the piano is actually a lot technically easier to learn in a lot of ways, because it makes a lot more sense to me now that I've learned it
Hmm.
than a guitar does. I don't know who invented the guitar, but it's a messed up instrument, because it's like if you take a piano keyboard and you take a chunk of it, then you take another chunk of it that kind of intersects the first chunk, and you keep doing that, and then you make these six random chunks that you have to know where everything is, and it doesn't make sense. It's not intuitive in any way. Whereas the keyboard, it's like a guitar with one string and 88 frets, so it's very, very simple to understand the structure of chords and that type of thing, and how to find a chord.
I mean, that's exactly right. Most people think though the guitar is easier to learn, and it's very interesting. And I'm very biased now, but I've never heard it put quite like you just said it. Like a piano or a keyboard is basically like a guitar with one string that has 88 frets. Like that's what I always try to tell people. Is like, look, there's 88 notes. They're all in order, right? They're just these buttons you reach out and press. Like it's infinitely easier than a lot of other instruments, and especially the guitar. Now, when
Yeah.
you were
Well, go ahead.
when I was just going to say, like when you were starting to look up and you made a decision to pursue the keyboard piano, did you know anything about it, or were you starting like all the way at the beginning?
I actually had a cheap, kind of mini key Yamaha Porta Sound that I would use to turn the drums on when I was back in, learning how to play guitar and bass, so that I had something to kind of play along with. But and I would kind of tinker around on it, but beyond that, not really anything.
Yeah. You mentioned the word intimidating, right? The keyboard was intimidating to you. I think you even said you weren't sure why. I mean, looking back now that you know how to play it, like, can you elaborate on that at all, or why other people might think it's intimidating?
I think probably I found it intimidating just because my impression of how you had to learn how to play it was the traditional sight reading classical approach. And I did take quite a few traditional lessons in bass, and so I know how those lessons would have gone on piano, with learning drilling scales and sight reading
Hmm.
and that type of thing. And the two hands at one time doing two different things was an intimidating thing as well. So I think that's kind of why I shied away from it.
Hey, you got to do two different things when you're playing guitar, right? Your hands are doing two different things.
Well, yeah, you do, except they're in the same time. So if you're changing a chord, your right hand and left hand kind of match each other. Or if you're picking a note, your right hand and left hand match each other. And
Hmm.
that's the one thing about the piano that is more challenging, is the left and right hand doing things in at different times.
Different times, yes, but they're doing a more similar like motion. Whereas with guitar or other stringed instrument, you're doing two completely different things within each hand, right?
You are. I think it's just the timing that might be.
Yeah.
I've been dissing the guitar a lot, so I got I'll give the guitar one kind
No,
of,
your point is
well,
well
I'll give
taken,
there.
and
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by all instruments, and obviously the piano is the one that I teach, so I'm a little biased there, but it's an interesting conversation. So you make the decision to move forward with learning to play a keyboard, and you mentioned that you started with like an app and also YouTube tutorials, right? What like how did you even know where to begin? I guess you knew that you didn't want to go the traditional route. So did you just start on Google? Where did you start?
Well, I had actually when apps for bass and guitar had started to come out, I started using those just on bass to try and I'm going to try and refresh my bass skills a little bit, and then realized that the same thing was available for piano. So that's where I started with that. And then when I saw the direction it was going, I mean, it was kind of fun because you get the immediate feedback on, are you playing the right note at the right time? It's kind of like a video game. Notes scroll by and you try to match it, and you're playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or whatever as you learn your sight reading. So it was okay, but knew it wasn't really going to take me all that far. So then I just pretty much started Googling for are there online courses, that type of thing, and that's how I found Piano in 21 Days.
Yeah. And you got started with the free resources that I've got. Now, I'm not, Piano in 21 Days is not the only chord-based approach to learning piano. So do you remember if there was a specific thing or specific moment that convinced you that, okay, this is the path I want to go down. This is what I actually want to pay money for because I believe in it so much. I believe this is what is going to get me where I want to be. Do you remember if there was kind of a specific moment that pushed you over the edge?
Absolutely. When I was working through the free intro material and realized this is a chord-based approach, this is exactly what I'm used to from my guitar and bass days. So this is perfect. So, and I knew I was going to immediately be able to start looking up songs and learn how to play them quickly. So that was the moment that it was okay. This is perfect for me.
So were you able to get like actual results? Like you weren't playing these elaborate songs, obviously, but you were able to get some real results on your keyboard with just the free resources before you signed up?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. Probably doesn't sound as good as I can play now, but it was definitely a lot more progress than I would have had with trying to sight read an app. Because again, you're at the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star level, and you're only at that level because of your sight reading.
All right, so you sign up. Like, tell us about your experience as you go through the course.
Well, it took me probably about a month to do the course. There were some lessons that I could kind of blow through in a couple of them in a day, and then there were other ones where I thought I should stick with this one for a bit and really kind of try and practice it a lot. And the biggest challenge that I had in the course was definitely hand coordination, left and right hand together. So because I had the ultimate package, which includes the hand coordination course with Joseph Sikora, was really, really helpful. That course was fantastic. In particular, the lessons on if you've got a complicated left hand rhythm, how to write it down left and right hand. The method that he showed was really, really helpful. And I found myself actually using that to practice a song that had a unique rhythm or that type of thing. So that was a great course. And then the melody course with Steve Lundgren. I'm not really one to want to play the melody in the right hand, but it was a great course to take anyways. But the big thing that I got out of that course was his left hand rhythms. And that's something that has stuck with me to this day. Pretty much everything I play, I am using either one of those rhythms or a variant of one of those rhythms. And that really, really kind of took my play to another level. So.
Okay, so if anybody's not familiar with what you're referring to, we've got the main like base level 21-day course where I'm the instructor there, and then there's also some bonus courses depending on kind of which level you sign up for. So when you said it took you about a month to go through it, that's not including all these courses. That's just the first 21-day course, right?
That's the first 21-day course, and then the hand coordination course. I think I actually started that partway through the main course because I was starting to feel that this is a pretty big challenge for me. So I might have even paused the main course for a little bit along the way, if I remember correctly, so that I could work on the hand coordination course. And then I kind of worked on the two of them together. And then the melody course was probably a couple of months later.
Okay, so you went through the main course in about a month, which is really, really good. A lot of people that haven't experienced the course yet have a misunderstanding that you kind of have to go through it in 21 consecutive days. And they put it off because they're waiting for a period in their life where they have 21 consecutive days. And I try to make it very, very clear. Look, that's why I give you lifetime access to the course, is because you've got to figure out a schedule that works for you, right? You can spread it out over the course of 3 months, 6 months, a year. You spread it out just a little more than 21 days up to 30 days. Did you feel any pressure to try to get it done in 21 consecutive days?
No, not really. I knew I just wanted to make sure I had each anything that I was having trouble with. I wanted to make sure I had it kind of down before I moved on. So not really no pressure.
How much, so of those 30 days, I mean, were you practicing and going through the lessons for like 10 hours a day, or like how much time would you say it took you?
I probably spent an hour or so a day for the first few months. Probably for the first year, to be honest. I practice it a lot. So
So basically the first 21 day course, piano in 21 days, it took you about an hour a day for 30 days to get through it.
that'd
Then
be pretty close.
And then you just kept, I mean, the learning process doesn't end, right? You kept going. There's other bonus courses that I provide. And I know you've signed up for other courses, other online courses out there as well. So about how long have you been playing piano at this point?
Well, I started in September of 2019. So,
Okay. And,
yes.
and do you see this learning journey ever ending for you?
No, not at all. I keep on finding new stuff to challenge and frustrate myself. So it's awesome.
Cool. So I fairly recently came out with the new version of my Piano in 21 Days course, and you're the one of the first people I let into that because I wanted your feedback. So if you could you let people know kind of some of the differences between the old version and the newest version of Piano in 21 Days?
Well, the new version is just, I guess, at a very basic level, just has a lot more content. The lessons are considerably longer. I don't know if you have an actual total time on each of them or not, but a lot of the lessons in the first course were maybe like 10 minutes ish, and a lot of the lessons in the equivalent lesson in the new course are 20 or 30 minutes. So there's just a lot more content and a lot more, you're going into a lot more detail about a lot of the concepts, which is awesome. And one of the big things is the addition of the backing tracks. This goes back to when I was learning how to play guitar. I mentioned that cheap little keyboard that I used to have, and like I said, there's no internet back then. There's no apps back then. And in order to practice the guitar and the bass, I would take that little keyboard and turn on a drum beat, and then I don't know if you're familiar with the range of keyboards, but you'll get like your background instruments playing, and you can trigger different chords just by pressing a single key. So I would get like a blues progression, and I would record on my cassette tape like an hour of this same blues progression, so that I could then take my bass or take my guitar and then play along with that in practice. And that was kind of where backing tracks became a super useful tool for me. So the backing tracks in the first course, there weren't any available, and so I made my own with various apps and things. And I would take the chord progression that a bunch of the first course is based on, and just practice the concepts over and over on top of backing tracks, which to me was really, really helpful, because I find it way more engaging to play with drums and maybe a backing track of other instruments, or at the very least drums, than a metronome. It's just a lot more fun for me. So now that there's backing tracks easily available, and they're right on the actual lesson page, so they're super easy to access. It's not like you have to, okay, we have backing tracks, but you got to go get this app and do this and do that. It's right there. You can just click play and start practicing along. So that's an awesome addition as well.
Yeah, thanks. And if anybody's wondering, I mean, you are the inspiration for those backing tracks. I'll tell the story, and I think you know this story, but when I was going to kind of redesign and get ready to create the newest version of Piano in 21 Days, I wanted to make sure I did as much due diligence as possible. So once I kind of collected all the feedback from various sources, various people that have gone through the previous version, I rearranged. I'm like, okay, I think this is probably as good of a curriculum as I can come up with. Well, for me, it's not as easy as just, okay, now let me film it and put it out there. Like, the best thing is to actually test it on real people. So I got 8 people together that were interested in learning with Piano in 21 Days, and I taught them the brand new curriculum live so that I could get that live feedback and really make sure the next time I recorded the course that it was as good as possible. And so maybe a third of the way through, half of the way through, I'm teaching the new curriculum to these group of 8 people. And I just had a light bulb moment. They were struggling with something. They were struggling with certain concepts and timing. And I was like, oh yeah, Tony Lee made these awesome backing tracks. I bet these could really help these people with this in this particular situation. And so I shared with them your backing tracks with those boot campers that I call them. And that helped them so much that I knew I had to include backing tracks in the new version of the course. So I really appreciate you inspiring that.
Well, glad to help.
Yeah. So I ended up hiring somebody, a professional musician, to put those together and then graphically represent them. And man, I'm sure you've seen the feedback inside the course and the platform. Like that's probably what people are loving the most. Like everybody raves about the backing tracks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comments on that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So not only have you been learning piano, but you've also kind of created your own business around the piano as well. So why don't you tell us a little about pianotone.ca?
Well, it's probably more of a hobby than a business, but it is tons of fun. I've always been kind of a gadget-oriented person. So I started doing reviews on my first digital piano that I had, which was an Alesis Recital Pro. And it turned out that there weren't a whole bunch of reviews on that online, and I started to get a lot of views. So decided to kind of take this a bit further and make a website and all of that. And so I'll post reviews on keyboards, digital pianos, or like audio interfaces, any different type of gadgets, some of the apps that I've encountered along the way that help me with different backing tracks or that type of thing. So I just post reviews of stuff as I can. I've even rented some keyboards and digital pianos from local music stores so that I can do reviews on it, that type of thing. So, and I also try to post the odd little, if I come across something that I found it helped me when I was, learning piano, then like on chord inversions or something, then I'll, make a little video on that and put that up there as well. So it's fun. It's kind of time consuming. It takes a little bit away from the video editing takes away from the piano practice time. So. Yep. Got to kind of budget that back and forth, but it is fun.
No, it's good. I would definitely encourage people to check it out. The YouTube channel is just called Piano Tone.
It's the youtube.com/c/pianotone. That's their custom URL thing. But you can also access the YouTube channel just off the pianotone.ca website. There's a link there.
Yeah, it's awesome content. Lots of keyboard reviews. There's also there's online course reviews, not just Piano in 21 Days, but all other piano online courses. There's backing tracks, and then there's little piano lessons here and there too. Yeah, really cool to see that. So, what is it that you are learning right now?
Right now, I am one of the other courses that, one of the courses that is included in your course, the Melody course, which is taught by Steve Lundgren. I had also, once I finished all of your courses, then I found his online course, and he has, in addition to his main course, he has a pretty large repository of lessons he's been making for years and years and years and years that are very focused. So you can kind of search that database for something that you want to learn, like blues soloing or that type of thing. So I've been spending a lot of time on that. I also had signed up for another online course that might have been biting off a little bit more than I can chew, but it was a lifetime membership. So I'm going to leave that one. That one's a little more traditional and does have the sight reading component in it. So I'm kind of, because it's a lifetime membership, I just put it off to the back burners a little bit. I might pick that one up again in a year or two once I'm a little more through Steve's course. And then in your new platform, there's also the jazz course, which I've started working on, and that course is really challenging and right up my alley. I really like the blues and jazz soloing type of thing. So enjoying that so far. So.
Are you still practicing around an hour a day?
Probably, maybe a little less now and then when I'm editing a video, which is, like I said, really time consuming, as you know. But yeah, probably an hour a day. And I'm also starting to Back in the band days, we used to write music as well, and had a lot of originals. And didn't feel that comfortable doing that on the piano up until the last couple of months when I've started to do that, and had some inspiration a few days ago actually, and actually got one of my first songs almost ready to go. So that'll be up on my YouTube channel once that's done.
All right, I'm excited to check that out. So if somebody's listening to this, maybe they're not a Piano in 21 Days student, maybe they're thinking about signing up. Like, in your opinion, having gone through it and been around for quite a while now, who would you say it's a good fit for?
It'd be a good fit for quite a few different people. The only person it's really not a good fit for is someone who wants to be a concert classical pianist, which is, and I mean, that's like a lifelong journey anyway. But if you want to sit down and learn how to play modern songs quickly and easily, then there's no quicker way to do it than this course. Or even if you are if you have been classically trained and you've gone through your 15 years of piano lessons and you want to learn, but you've never been taught a chord-based approach, and you want to learn how to play modern songs, as opposed to going and buying the sheet music and sight reading the modern song and kind of regurgitating what was written on the sight music, or on the sheet music, sorry, then that's also going to be a great course for those types of people. So,
love it. So I would like to mention here that it's certainly not a magic pill either, right? Just because you make the decision to sign up for, say, Piano in 21 Days doesn't mean that you're automatically going to learn how to play piano either. So the next question for you, Tony, is having finished the course and seemingly truly loving the piano now, right? What would your advice be for just people in general that are kind of picking up piano for the first time, trying to learn it? What's your advice?
Stick with it and just don't worry about how fast you're going, or if you're having trouble, just persist and have fun. And I mean, if there's a lesson or a topic that you're having trouble with, then I mean, you keep practicing it, but don't practice it to the point of driving yourself crazy. Like, something else that you're comfortable doing and that you have fun doing, whatever that might be on the piano, go and do that for a bit and then come back to it. And the number of times that I would find something really, really challenging in your course or in any of the other courses, and then when I returned to it, that same topic, like a month later, it's like, oh, that wasn't so hard after all. It's just I needed to advance a little bit more before really being able to pick that up.
Yeah, I know a lot of people feel like it's just going to be rainbows and butterflies the whole way through, and it's never going to be an issue at all, because it's just like, when I'm marketing it, I try to make it sound pretty easy. I want people to think that they can actually do it, but I hate when people, they sign up, they start going through it, and the first time they reach any sort of resistance, they reach any sort of point where they're struggling to get past it, they kind of give up, right? I hate when that happens. So I think that consistency is the key, consistency and persistence, and it seems like that's exactly what you did over the course of a month to get through this course.
Yeah, and and in the new course as well, give things like the backing tracks will maybe be a tipping point in making something a little bit easier for somebody to practice, so that maybe they don't have quite as much trouble as they would have without that tool. And but I mean, it's just you need to be persistent and keep at it, and it's all the tools are there for you, and that's what the course is providing, is all of the tools that are needed to be able to learn piano that quickly. But it is still up to the person to put in the work to make it happen.
Yeah, I feel confident all the tools are there now. The new version, the success rate is significantly higher than the last version, which, I mean, it was successful the last version. The last version is the one that you learned on, but I feel very good about this one. But it's thanks to people like yourself who went through the last versions and gave the feedback, both positive and negative. So, look, Tony, I appreciate you being a part of Piano in 21 Days and for joining me here. So that's going to do it. Thanks so much. And everybody go check out pianotone.ca.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Tony continues to inspire me, and I hope that he can inspire and motivate you as well. If you need some help on your piano journey, maybe you want to be featured in one of these success stories one day, you've got to start somewhere, and why not start for free with a proven system? Head over to pianoin21days.com. I've got a free workbook waiting for you there. Learn 36 popular songs in just 5 days. You can head to pianoin21days.com, or you can click the link on this page. I look forward to being your piano teacher.